Yeah, Josh, just in about the last 15 minutes, quite a sizable crowd filed in to the Majestic Theater here in Detroit at Abdul El-Sayed's watch party. As a matter of fact, just moments ago, we heard a cheer, a very large cheer, come up from the crowd. They're watching TV coverage, and with a very small number of votes already in, Abdul El-Sayed is leading currently in that vote count. Now, I want to give you a look at kind of the crowd that's built up here. You can see a bunch of people, hundreds of people that have gathered here for the watch party for Abdul El-Sayed, who is the former Wayne County Health Director. He had previously run for the Democratic nomination for governor in 2018, ultimately losing that race to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. He's widely seen as the more progressive candidate, as you said, backed by the likes of Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. As a matter of fact, there were monitors here. He was at a campaign event earlier this afternoon in Dearborn with Ilhan Omar, Minnesota representative. Now, recent polling has shown El-Sayed could be the favorite to win tonight. Polls consistently showing here in the last few weeks about a more than 10-point gap against challenger Haley Stevens. Some of the issues he's campaigned on include Medicare for all, getting corporate PAC money out of politics. Now, as I said, we are monitoring some of these very initial election results that do show El-Sayed in front as of right now. There's still plenty of vote to come across the state. We will keep an eye on what's going on here. As you can see, there are plenty of supporters. We're looking to speak to some of them as those results continue to come in. We'll send it back to you, but for now, reporting live, Nick Nelson, 13 on your side.
Now to Abdul El-Sayed's opponent in this Democratic primary, and that is Haley Stevens, Democrat, running for U.S. Senate to fill Gary Peters' seat. We want to go live now to reporter Steve Iwanek, who is at Haley Stevens' watch party in Detroit. Steve?
Well, Julia, good evening. We've talked about it all evening long. This has been a campaign that has sort of just been waiting to see if something big would shift away from what polls had been projecting for weeks now. If you take a look at some recent polls, including one that I've been studying for a couple of weeks now, the Emerson College poll that came out at the end of last month, it showed that Abdul El-Sayed really had a major advantage when it came to voters that were age 50 and younger. You look at the recent polling data, it showed that he had a plus 42 advantage with people in the younger demographic, versus if you analyze the data that showed people that were age 60 and older, Stevens had a significant advantage at plus 14. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is that the case? Well, really, it comes down to the whole ideological shift that could be seen here in this race tonight if Abdul El-Sayed is indeed declared a winner later this evening. It is traditional establishment-backed Democrat support that Haley Stevens has seen versus the progressive backing that we've seen for Abdul El-Sayed. Bernie Sanders, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, have given their support to the former Wayne County Health Director, while for Stevens, she's received support such as Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, a big topic that came up on the campaign trail between the two candidates, it really was AIPAC, or if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. The Associated Press earlier today put out a report that Stevens' campaign has received around $30 million in backing for that campaign. It is a pro-Israel group, and in fact, it is the largest single ever investment in a single race, just to show that significance of what that means for a campaign. But it comes at a time, of course, when in global conflict, the Iran war has dominated the headlines and news coverage, and also for elections and campaign talking points. And Abdul El-Sayed has made it clear that he is against some of the actions that have been going on in the Middle East. He has called what's been happening in Gaza a genocide, and that really has spurred what has been seen as a massive wave of young people that have come out to the voting booths. So about an 89% increase from the presidential primary 2 years ago for in-person early voting in the state of Michigan. So he's been rallying up a lot of support, and for the Stevens campaign, they've just had to sit back and wait and see if their typical suburban voters, union households, would come out in maybe about the same amount of way. So I'm curious to see as we go into the night and the numbers start piling in here, as we're only about 15 minutes since polls have closed. What do the numbers look like? Does Stevens stay close with Abdul El-Sayed, or will it be a pull away? Because as a lot of the recent polls have shown, El-Sayed has quite a big lead in the early polling compared to Haley Stevens. So we'll see what the camp says later today. But for now, here in Detroit, Steve Iwanek, back to you, Juliet.
Steve, thank you. Let's turn now to the governor's race here in Michigan and the Republican primary. John James and Perry Johnson running to get that nomination for November. 13 on your side's Peter Elliott is with the John James Watch Party in Sterling Heights. He joins us now with an update from there. Peter?
Hey, Juliet, good evening. Doors have opened here at the watch party for John James's campaign here at 7:30. So a steady crowd has already started to trickle in. We'll show you the assembly here. This is the headquarters of a trade association in Sterling Heights. You can feel certainly a more buoyant energy here. The polls, of course, have closed, but the advanced polls released a few days before have John James ahead of challenger Perry Johnson, pretty well ahead. Both candidates still hosting their watch parties in the greater Detroit area here. This is James's congressional district, so this should be a stronghold for him where he can really rack up the votes here. His district, the 10th, kind of encompasses both Macomb and Oakland counties. James is giving up his seat to someone else, and he is running for governor here. This is his third try at statewide office. He has run unsuccessfully in the past for U.S. Senate in 2018 and 2020. This time around, running for governor in a challenging year for Republicans. A lot of people expecting Democrats to outperform, given the approval rating of President Trump hovering somewhere in the 30s. But both of these candidates haven't shown that they care much about the approval ratings of President Trump. Everywhere you look here, you will see President Trump's face. He is, John James, proudly endorsed by President Trump. We have seen signs and images of him with President Trump on these signs behind us. You can see it on shirts as well. That is a major thing that he is running on. And of course, he has the endorsement. That's a big thing for candidates. If you don't have President Trump's endorsement, we have seen a lot of candidates around the country really flop when it comes to their electoral prospects. We have not seen the candidate just yet, John James, no sign of him, but plenty of other people rolling in here at this hour. You can, the polls, however, of course, looking really good for John James, given a solid lead. Perry Johnson has bankrolled much of his campaign to the tune of around $30 million or so, but that really has not hurt John James's prospects. He has, of course, a higher name recognition and, of course, those 2 terms in Congress that he is just coming off of. We will see what happens here tonight. You can also feel a lot of focus here tonight is on that U.S. Senate primary. So, of course, people are focusing and trying to celebrate John James here, but the cable news that is playing here is all they are talking about is the U.S. Senate race between Abdul El-Sayed and Haley Stevens. We'll see what happens there. A lot of supporters for the U.S. Senate Republican candidate Mike Rogers as well. We've seen polos and shirts for him as well. The polls, again, for James look good. He spoke with 13 on Your Side earlier this week saying he's not looking at the polls. He doesn't care so much about them. When he was in Hudsonville, he's focused on what the actual voters have to say. They have just closed at this hour, so we'll have to see what the early returns say so far for this race. That's all so far for now here from his watch party in Sterling Heights. We'll have more updates throughout our streaming show this evening. Reporting live in the east side of Detroit, I'm Peter Elliott, 13 on Your Side.
Thank you, Peter. John James' opponent in this Republican primary is Perry Johnson, businessman. 13 on Your Side's Jordan Hatfield is with that campaign watch party live in Troy with an update.
Yes, Juliet, we are here at the San Marino Club where the room is filling up right now with supporters of Perry Johnson. Now, it is kind of a contrast, as Peter was saying. There's a lot of pictures of John James with Trump there at their venue. No pictures of Perry Johnson with Trump here, but a lot of his campaign signs. In fact, I've only seen one MAGA hat here, and I think Perry Johnson's really trying to highlight the fact that he is the outsider candidate, much like how Trump was himself. He is a businessman. He's not an established politician at this point, and he is hoping that platform helps rally sort of a grassroots movement around him by drawing also independents as well as other Republicans. One of his main campaign platforms is the mega audit of the state. He also wants to cut the state income tax, putting up $4,747 back into Michiganders' pockets. Another stance that he has made very firm here, he's also against data centers in the sense that he is advocating for a moratorium on data center development here in the state of Michigan. Now, we're here at Johnson's watch party, what he calls his victory party right now. He might be trailing in the polls behind John James, but he is still very optimistic that his independent movement as well as his outsider movement is going to carry him across the finish line. Now, we have not seen Perry Johnson at the event just yet. He has not spoken. We did catch up with him before around 5 o'clock, but we are unclear as to when he will be speaking here tonight at the San Marino Club. But we'll keep it locked here and be tracking the results and get them to you as soon as possible. For now, live in Troy, Jordan Hatfield, 13 on Your Side.